take a minute. We're going to take a few minutes to highlight a missions emphasis here, and one of our own. This is what I love. It's one of our very own, one of our most precious ones. Rebecca Rogers, if you'd come on up here and join me on the stage. Let me just steal your thunder like I did for service. Rebecca has been a part of our church since she was 4 years old. A little girl. 18 years she's been a part of our church, grown up in our church, went to our school, been a part of our children's program, our youth program. I just found out in the first service, I'm stealing everything, got called by the Lord right over there in that room for missions. And is now following up the Lord after, you have no idea what God does in the hearts of these little ones, how it comes to fruition right here. And she, after graduating from high school, joined YWAM, Youth with a Mission, and has been on an adventure with God ever since. And she's been all over the world. I'm going to let her tell you about that. And then, instead of stealing your thunder, I'll let you speak, and then I'll come back and fill in any gaps there. But we are so incredibly proud of Rebecca, and I want her to tell her story. We're going to raise some support for her, but let her tell you her story.
Okay, Zhao An. That is good morning in Chinese. But I just first want to thanks Pastor Steve for letting me share and not stealing all the thunder. Just kidding. But yeah, I've been working with Youth with the Mission for the last few years, and I want to first just say thank you to all of you that have supported me, and I know I've kept a lot of you on your knees praying for me this past year. So I want to say thank you for that. And I put together just a video that's a couple minutes long, and it just gives a glimpse of what God has taught me and also what I've been involved in doing this last few years. So we can just play that. I found this quote in a magazine a long time ago that says, "If you want to lead the orchestra, you must turn your back on the crowd." And in Matthew 16:24, Jesus tells us that if anyone would come after him, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow him. And in a few chapters after, in chapter 28, he gives us the Great Commission. These are Jesus' last words to his disciples, and he tells them, go and make disciples of all nations. And he tells them that he is always with them. I believe that we all carry within us these dreams and these desires. There's something in us that is screaming to live for something more, for something bigger than ourselves. But just like Jesus did, we will face fear. Yet it was because of the joy set before him that he endured the cross. In the same way, I have struggled with the conflict of fear and joy.
This is downtown Islam.
Fear of unknown, of not having, the fear of failure. But it has been the joy to see people come to know Jesus that has led me through my fears. At age 14, I went on a missions trip to Africa, and it was then that I realized that this was my purpose. 8 years later, now, I am moving to Taiwan to be a missionary there. For the past few years, I have been leading teams of students in places such as Cambodia, Vietnam, Taiwan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the Philippines. And during this time, I have experienced things far beyond what I ever dreamed of. Yes, so like I was told, I've been working with Youth with a Mission. For short, it is called YWAM. And there's over 1,000 different bases in 149 different countries. And it's one of the world's largest missions organizations right now. And I have personally been working in the bases in Hawaii. I'm really suffering for Jesus over there. and in Taiwan. And while I'm in Hawaii, I've been leading discipleship training schools where students from all over the world come for 3 months. And we just train them up in Jesus, and you learn more about who is God, what is the nature and character of God. A lot of what is basically taught in our church. And then we go off for an outreach for 2 to 3 months and take them to a place in the world, and you work with kids in orphanages, and you teach English, and you see people get healed and come to know the Lord, and it's amazing. And so that's what I've been involved with in the past. And also when I went to Taiwan, I've been doing a Bible school, and there I just learned a lot about God, and also did a lot of teaching and evangelism. And we've seen, like, I did a kids camp for 2 weeks, and all the kids got saved, and now there's a youth group. And we preached in a prison, and all the guys decided to get saved. And yeah, it's awesome. That's so good. So that's what I've been really involved with. But I was praying and asking God. This year I was in Afghanistan and Pakistan leading a team. And I was praying for our church, and when I was preparing for this morning, I was asking God, like, what do you want me to share? And I felt like God reminded me of what He told me about our church when I was in Afghanistan. So on May 29th, when I was in Afghanistan, I was praying for our church, and I felt like God gave me this word. And it was something that He spoke in my life like a year before. And it was that I've called you to be a voice and not an echo. That God has called our church to be a voice and not an echo. And that He's called you individually, because we are the body of the church. And that's something that I feel like God wanted to challenge us with, and I've been challenged in my life in it. And once God spoke that into my life, all of a sudden this fear rose up in me, and I was like, really, God? Because it's like speaking out God's truth, and like, you know what? People need to hear the gospel all around us. And when this fear rose up in me, it was specifically this year when I was preparing to lead this team. And the Bible says, go and make disciples of all nations, and I'm always with you. And I realized why God told us that He's always with us, because we doubted so many times. We always doubted, God, are you really going to be with me? And I had that question like plaguing my mind as I was going to go to Afghanistan. Because I was like, there's bombs and war and Taliban, and it's nuts. And, well, what God told me to do was put a penny on the bottom of my shoe. And I ended up putting a penny on the bottom of my shoe. And why I did that was because God, I feel it in the tape, and so I'm walking throughout my day, and I'm scared, and I'm like, God, I know You've called me to be a voice, but I'm freaking out right now. And God would just be like, Rebecca, I'm with you always, like, you can do this, like, I'm with you. And I led this team to Afghanistan and Pakistan, and I saw God's kingdom come in a war-torn country. And it was absolutely amazing that a Muslim man that we prayed for got healed, and was like, he thanked our God for healing him. And so just that's something I want to encourage you with, is that God has called each one of you to be a voice and not an echo, and that we are supposed to be speakers of truth to all mankind, and that He is always with you. And so as next year in January, I'm planning on moving to Taiwan. That's where I feel like God has told me to. He specifically said, Rebecca, you are to be a voice in Taiwan. And so I'm going and being a voice in Taiwan, and I'm going to be joining a teaching team of young people that our heart is basically to preach the gospel to people who have never heard, to train up pastors and children and people just to go and tell about Jesus. So we're specifically going to be ministering in Taiwan, but also when opportunities come, because Taiwan's kind of central. It's an island under China, and it's pretty much really central to all the Asian countries. And so when opportunities come up, we're going to be able to go and teach in Cambodia or in China and Vietnam and different places. So that's what I'm going to be involved in, and also just a lot of evangelism and discipleship of a lot of the university girls in the area that I've met. So that's what I'm doing, and I would love for you guys for your prayers and for your support. God called me over, Pastor Steve kind of said, I remember when I was in kids' church that I was thinking, when I grow up, I want to be a missionary and a teacher. And now today, it's like, that's what I'm doing. And so I would love to get your guys' emails if I could. I send off emails kind of every couple of weeks just to share what I'm doing. So I have a table back in the lobby. I'd love to get your emails. I have magnets, lots of them. So you can post them everywhere, and remember to pray. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me share.
Aren't you proud of her? You know, 22 years old, she could be doing so many other things that 22-year-olds do at this point in their life. And from high school on, she chose just to follow after Jesus wherever He decided to send her. Did you hear? She's been in Afghanistan, Pakistan. I mean, right in the center where all the world events are happening. She's been in Israel. She's been right in the places where God, following God is not a boring life. I can tell you that. You abandon yourself to God, and you will live an exciting life. And I'm envious of the life that she's living. She's living an exciting life. And what you are a wonderful model and example to all of us, young and old alike. And you need to know we're so proud of you. Doing good. You know, this is what pastors love, is to see people grow up in your church and then get it and go out and do it. And there's probably nothing better than that.